Here's a quick and easy way to shorten a t-shirt with elastic at the sides, and if you've got a bit of a tummy like I have, then it helps to hide a little bit of those hips and tummy. First thing to do is to remove any labels. You can obviously unpick the whole thing and redo it if you want to. This is just a cheap t-shirt, so I'm just cutting it off. Mark it from just above the stitching of the hem to around the waist. In this one I've just done 7.5 inches or 20 centimeters, and I've just put a little dot on the side of the seam allowance so that I know where to start putting the elastic. I use a thin elastic just to sew it onto over the top of the overlocking, because this t-shirt only has overlocking, doesn't actually have a seam allowance as such. And I'm going to pull it so that it's at least double its length, if not a little bit more. It's going to depend on the elasticity of the elastic as to how much you're going to do. But if you don't pull it too much, then you won't get much of a gather either. All machines are different. I find it easier to zigzag the elastic on, so I move the my dial to zigzag, and I move my stitch width to the width of the elastic, and the depth I initially did 1.5, but I changed it to 2 later. Place the elastic on the mark that you've got from the tailor's pencil and just lock it off so that it's secure, and then you can just stretch it so that it comes all the way down to the top of the hem allowance. Now you notice here that the zigzag is a little bit too close together, and so it takes longer to get down to the hem allowance. It's better to actually have it a little bit further apart. I did change it on the second side. This is an example t-shirt. I think it cost me $1, so you know, it doesn't really matter. Because I was being very mindful of where the camera was, where my arm was, you know, usually I would have a little bit more control, but I'll always take hold of the back of the t-shirt. I'm not pulling it so much as I'm just guiding it so that it continues to stitch over the top of the elastic. And this t-shirt doesn't have a side seam as such, it's just been overlocked, so the seam allowance is only the width of the overlocking, and I'm attaching the elastic right over the top of that overlocking. You could make it a little bit easier on yourself and cut your elastic a little bit longer, and then you've got something to hold on to and trim it off. I didn't worry about that. I just, because this is a sample t-shirt, it wasn't something that I was that concerned about. But if you've got a good t-shirt, you might want to make your elastic a little bit longer. So the second side, exactly the same, just repeating, catching it and then pulling it down so that it's just above the hem allowance. Now you don't sew right to the very end, you're only sewing whilst you have got access to that seam allowance. And the reason I do that is that it actually is a flattering thing to have a little bit sticking out at the bottom of a top. Because if you're a bit hippie, which I am, then you know, having the bottom of it actually flaring out slightly tends to make you look a little bit less, and we need all the help we can get. So this is the t-shirt, and you can see that the gather, because I've actually got a little bit of a tummy, the gathering can take away from the effect of the stomach, and then what I'm going to do here is just show, I'm going to pull it down so you can see what it was like before, and then up for the elastic. So that was what it was like before. And I have another t-shirt that I did it to as well. And again, this is another cheap t-shirt, but you can see how that gather actually helps take away from a tummy. If you wanted the gathering to go up higher, then you would just extend the elastic up towards the inside arm. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I do free videos, but I also have the Magic Circle, which has more extensive videos. If you want to know about clothing alterations, you might like to subscribe to my Magic Circle. Happy altering!